Minnesota Vikings have been around since 1961. And I just want them to win a damn Super Bowl before I die. Welcome to Before I Die with Jessi and Myles on Purple Daily and Score North.
Just one. We just want one before we die. What's going on? This is Before I Die, brought to you by Purple Daily and Score North. I'm Jessi Pierce. He's Ross Brundle. He's Myles Gorham. Look at that. It was a quick pause. I don't know. I was going to say Gotham. I was going to do it.
You could have called me Kyle like Ross did before the show. So I think we're off to a good start.
I just called him a new name again, so I was probably in your head, Jessi. That's my fault.
The Vikings are off to a better start. Yeah, see the segue. We're working.
Yes, we got it. We got it.
And a name that we're not going to be sorry to remember. Sam Darnold, ladies and gentlemen. Who would have thunk? Obviously, heading into the year, you're kind of questionable, right? We're looking, but Minnesota coming away with a 28-6 victory in week 1 over the New York Giants. Darnold goes 19 of 24 for 207 yards, 2 tutties, and an interception, finishing with a 113.2 passer rating. Myles, how are we feeling? What are some of the biggest takeaways you have from yesterday's big victory? I was just worried that the offense was going to get tired and worn out because there was so much possession time. Love to see it, and your Vikings are now 1-0.
Yeah, it was. I think I kind of had obviously a hope that this was going to be the case, right? Going in, the Giants aren't the best of teams, but if anything, the defensive line's their strength. How's our O-line going to hold up? How are they going to be able to scheme around it? And I think Darnold did a really good job of like rising to the occasion and really just having command of the offense. And so I think that was the biggest. That was to me one of the biggest factors going into week 1 too. Is what's this command of the offense and his how does he gel with Kevin O'Connell? Because Kirk Cousins had gotten to a point with O'Connell where like they were just like in each other's brains. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. Things flowed really smoothly. And and obviously once he got hurt last year, there's a little bit of that like miscommunication. Things kind of went up and down. So the hope was with Darnold being the starter going into week 1 all off season, there was a little bit more of that unity. And you could see that right away from the jump. Mm-hmm. Maybe some small hiccups, things that, took a little bit to kind of get going. But once they got going, you could tell that they're on the same page. And Darnold had really good command of the offense. My only issue was just some of the time management, like letting the play clock get down a little bit too far and having to burn timeouts and delay of games and stuff like that. But I think that'll get fixed. They're beating the Giants pretty handily, so it wasn't one of those like really had a negative impact on the game. But you hope that they can fix that as they move forward. But I was just really impressed by some of the throws that Darnold was able to make. Again, his command and his ability to escape and maneuver in the pocket because there was quite a bit of pressure. Ed Ingram struggled a little bit with the immediate pressure against Sexy Dexter Lawrence, which was expected, right? Like I wasn't going into this game being like, oh, they're going to lock him down, like they're going to have their way with him. No, Dexter Lawrence is one of the best D linemen in the league, so it was nice to see him maneuver the pocket and find guys like Jefferson. And that Jalen Naylor touchdown was sick. I really loved that. His eye manipulation, where he the pump fake to Jefferson on the screen, or even like a fake reverse pass, like a fake pass, and then Naylor in the end zone. So I just really loved just how they had command of the entire offense, and then how the run game progressed as the game went. I know that's not a Darnold take, but like the run game really progressed as the game went, and you just saw Aaron Jones he's not the biggest dude, but you could tell that he's good. He loves contact, and he's good between the tackles. And that touchdown, Madison's not scoring that touchdown last year. No offense to Madison. But he's not beating the guy to the edge.
I'll say it. All the offense to Alexander Madison. Aaron Jones was able to do what he was not able to do, and that's to score 14 carries for 94 yards and a touchdown. It's exactly what Minnesota needs right now.
For sure. And some receptions. And I think that was a big thing for me, too, with Jones coming in, is his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield is better than most of the backs in the league, too. So I'm getting off on a tangent, but I was just really excited about the game yesterday. I think, again, just really excited to see what Darnold could do in this offense. He had, again, full command in his ability to he spread the ball, was it 8 or 9 different receivers? Mm-hmm. I think it was something like that. Loved the throws across the middle, a couple to Josh Oliver across the middle. That deep throw to Jefferson was probably my favorite throw of the game. It's just like one of those, like Jefferson finds a way to get open downfield somehow. They're double covering him and right in the breadbasket. Love those types of throws down the field. And you just see Darnold's arm strength and arm talent that we saw through camp. So it was nice to see that come to fruition week 1.
It really is. And to make it even sweeter, we got good defense too. It looked awesome. Limiting Danny Dimes 22 for 42, 186 yards and 2 picks. Not a great showing for the now bearded man who looks good. Guys, beards are always the way to go in case Daniel Jones didn't prove that. Loving the defense too. It's setting up to give me severe anxiety heading into the rest of the year because things look so good. And it's only week 1, but they looked really good in week 1 defensively too.
Yeah, I was really impressed by the D-line. Again, the Giants' offensive line isn't the best, but I felt like going in, one of the biggest question marks on the defense was how's the D-line going to hold up? And I thought you got contributions from all 3 starters, and they only dressed 4 interior D linemen yesterday. So, but you got impacts from Jerry Tillery, Harrison Phillips had some big plays, and then obviously Jonathan Bullard. Like those 3 guys really had some impact, and especially against the run, you could tell that I think, what did they hold him to? Like under 50 yards on the ground, something like that, somewhere in that range. I have to go double check, but they did a great job against the run, which was to me the biggest key of like how they're going to really slow everything down. Because you wanted to put the ball in Danny Dimes' hands, and they did it, and it worked. And the defense just was humming yesterday. Now, Ivan Pace backed up the smack talk he had going into the week, and I love it because you could tell he had a fire under him. He was John with some of the Giants players. I'm all for it. Give me the smoke. And yes. I was just excited to watch that play out.
Well, like you said, you can talk the talk and walk the walk. Then it's even sweeter. It's just so much better. Ross, largest margin of victory for the Vikings in the Kevin O'Connell era and since 2019. How are we feeling about this? Again, it's anxiety inducing. That's all we know. As Vikings fans, all we know is to prepare for the worst. So you're buckled in. You're feeling pretty good about a victory and how things looked, but you're worried about when that shoe is going to drop.
Had you guys known that it had been that long since the Vikings had quote unquote a comfortable victory? No. I guess I didn't know it had literally been 5 years.
I did, just because it's been a talking point for the last 5 years of how close, whether the losses or wins, is always a close game. So I felt like I always knew it.
I knew it because you live it each and every week, but just when you put it into context like that, it's kind of incredible. And you watch the game, and I think the Giants, we all know, it's tough to, I don't know how many opinions you can formulate from this win because I think the Giants are going to be pretty bad, but there are takeaways like looking prepared that you can look at and go, okay, that's a good thing. The Vikings didn't have as many procedural penalties as a lot of teams around the league on Sunday. That's a good thing. There were the delay games. That was interesting. I think on the second one, Myles, I probably would have just taken the delay game and saved the timeout, but whatever. Yes. That's probably nitpicking. But yeah, you're watching the game and you go, wow, this game's kind of boring. Well, it's boring because it's comfortable and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're taking care of a bad football team.
But Ross,
we'll take it.
Tell me yesterday, at what point, Jessi too, were you like, when are they going to come back? Because that was my thing. Not that I wasn't comfortable or confident, but at the same time, it's like, when's that, like you said, Jessi, when's the shoe going to drop? When are they going to come back and make this a football game? Even if the Vikings were still going to win, I was expecting a comeback, like just because that's what we're so used to.
I was working the Bev cart out at Loggers Trail, so I had the perfect day set up. I'm on a golf course, listening to it on the radio, and every group that I would pass, we were all wondering the same thing. Like, okay, they're still holding a lead. They still are winning. Okay, this is good. Like, that was just, it's who we are as Minnesotans. It's who we are as Vikings fans to just inherently not believe that they could actually pull it off.
Well, and the Vikings did such a good job neutralizing that crowd. That crowd was into it for the first Giants series, and then they booed him off the field. Mm-hmm. And when did the crowd at MetLife Stadium get back into it? About the middle of the third quarter. It was it 21-6, and the Vikings maybe had a third down and punted the ball back, and the Giants crowd got into it. But the Vikings did a really good job just stifling any sort of momentum yesterday. So I'm feeling good, and I'm feeling good from the standpoint of, you thought they would win the game, and they did. They did a lot of things well. They won it comfortably. I think we would all feel a lot worse, and we'd have a lot more dread had the Vikings not won yesterday. So in that respect, it's a very good start to the season.
Well, and it's the first week 1 victory for Minnesota since 2016 when they beat the Titans. So there's a reason that we feel the way that we do, right? Like, there is reason for us to question.
Wait, is that like first road victory?
First road on the road, excuse me.
Okay. I was like, wait,
oh God, people are going to come for me.
Right. Yeah. I was like, my memory.
Road victory.
Road
Sorry,
victory, people.
guys.
Road victory,
Road
folks.
victory. That's
And-
what I meant.
And that was Sean Hill's one shining moment, I think, right? 48-year-old Sean Hill going out there with his massive beer belly, getting a win for the Vikings on the road.
Yeah.
Love me some Sean Hill.
Oh, man, you guys. Not all great. Jordan Addison, ankle injury, different ankle. Doesn't sound like he'll be out for an extended period of time, but it does bring to question, should they have even played Addison against the Giants again? As we talk, Giants not necessarily a strong team. Week 2, totally different team and different beast with the 49ers on tap. Myles, what are your thoughts on Addison and his injury and how that could affect them moving forward here?
It's unfortunate. I was like, the second they said he was out, I was like, oh, he re-injured his ankle. But now, like you said, come to find out it's the other ankle. It's like, come on, like, can he catch a break? And to your point, like, I think he probably should have played. I think they wanted to get all the guys in. Jalen Naylor, fortunately, came out of the game healthy with a clean bill of health because he had gone in with a banged up ankle too. But it's just unfortunate because Addison's had an off season, right? Like it's been a tough off season. Like personally on the field, he can't stay healthy through camp, unfortunately. So like, hopefully you can get it back as soon as possible. But that's a big blow, especially with TJ Hawkinson out. Like with TJ Hawkinson out, Addison is your true number 2 receiver, and he's a good player. And you're hoping to continue to build off of last season, and he showed that. He had some flash plays yesterday before he got hurt, and then to see him go out, and then you have to go up against the 49ers, who is a juggernaut. The unfortunate part is you're like, okay, who can step up? And Naylor obviously had that big touchdown yesterday, but you want to see that passing game continue to gel and grow. And the hope is that, like, if Addison is going to be out, that some of those guys can step up. So it's unfortunate for him, but next man up mentality is usually always the case, unfortunately.
Right. And Ross. Yeah,
I'll make sure my mic's on very quickly, though. Could be a good reason or a good side effect, I guess, of the early bye week.
Oh, that's not what I was going to segue it to. I was going to segue it to it. Is there someone else he could call? Is there someone he could give a ring to that maybe could help him with an injury?
I stole your segue, Jessi. I apologize. That would be our friends at Nicolay Law, though. Quick shout out to the exclusive personal injury law firm of Purple Daily. You know it. It's Nicolay Law. Nicolay Law. They know when you or a loved one gets injured, ordinary life can come to a stop. Things can get complicated. We don't want that. That's where the folks at Nicolay Law come in. They're just normal, everyday folks, just like you and I, just like Myles, Jessi, and Ross, the ones you see at the gas station, walking the dog, or even at your local favorite watering hole. Normal, everyday folks. They're here to make sure you get the compensation you deserve after an accident. So if you've been injured, get Minnesota's local award-winning injury lawyers. Get Nicolay. The phone number, 1-855-NICOLAY or nicolaylaw.com. That's nicolaylaw.com. Or give them a call, 855-NICOLAY, NICOLET. Jessi?
I love it. That's good. We're getting there. We're vibing it out. I'm saying wins instead of road wins. It's out. I'm done. I'm quitting. Cyclones won this weekend, so I'm still just a little messy.
Hey, that was a big win. That was great.
Such a good game, right?
Yeah.
Such a good game. A huge win. It feels so good to beat Iowa. It's similar. I treat the Iowa State game like I do a Vikings-Packers game. Like, I don't care if they win. I don't need to watch the rest of it. Like, I just need that game to be won. Love that they did it. Go Cyclones.
Won't be the first rivalry loss for Kirk Ferentz this month. Just throwing that out there.
There we go. We like that. They've got, shout out to Cyclone Brock Purdy. How do we think they're going to do against the 49ers this week, you guys? That face says it all, man.
We'll see. It's obviously one of those situations, right, where you don't fully know, because after a game like the Giants, you're riding a high. You're like, okay, they're rolling. I think it'll be a good game. I think this is where we're going to see hopefully a closer game. Hopefully it leans the Vikings way, but I think it'll be a closer game. I don't think you're going to see a blowout. I think the Vikings, the one thing I am more confident in is the Vikings defense. I think the defense showed out that they can create turnovers. Guys are flying over the field, and they're using what I loved about Brian Flores yesterday was his ability to mix and match everybody. They use less true base formation. We had a lot of DBs out on the field, a lot of guys that can fly around and make plays. A mix between Josh Metellus and Byron Murphy rolling the nickel in the slot, and just the safeties everywhere. And then I thought Gilmore, Shaq Griffin, and Murphy did a really good job kind of like neutralizing that pass game. And nothing deep. They didn't let anything deep, which I think was a huge part of the game yesterday. I don't think not that I was like truly worried about Daniel Jones throwing it deep, but you never know. Again, especially with the new basically a whole new cornerback group. So it was nice to just see that whole defense kind of put it together, and you hope they can take that momentum into next week where they just really apply that pressure to Purdy, because I feel like Purdy's good against. I think Purdy's really good at rolling. But I think the one thing that the Vikings have is so much more athleticism on this defense than we've seen in the last few years. And so I think they can contain, and they can do a good job of making sure that anything that outside the pocket is still going to create pressure. There's going to be pressure there. It's not just be easy throws if Brock Purdy breaks the pocket. So I'm just excited to see them against like a better football team next week too. So just to kind of see where they truly stack up.
I think the game within the game will be interesting too, because we heard it yesterday. One of the talking points from I almost said Marv Albert, Kenny Albert, and the worst color analyst in the history of sports, Jonathan Vilma, was that Sam Darnold learned a lot last year in San Francisco, learned to get rid of the ball quickly, which is also kind of funny if you think about it. It took him that long into his career to learn to get rid of the ball quickly. But anyways, what I'm getting at is you have Shanahan, who spent a full year with Sam Darnold. Then you have our guy, Kevin O'Connell, who is getting a reputation, whether you agree with it or not, about being a little bit of a quarterback whisperer. So what has he learned about Sam Darnold that he can deploy that the 49ers are going to try and defend against and be ready from knowing all about Sam Darnold? So what type of wrinkles can the Vikings put in there to try and win a football game? And I will say this, the Minnesota Vikings season gets a lot more interesting, and you start to get a lot more excited if they start off 2-0 and beat what at least the rest of the league thinks is going to be a pretty good San Francisco 49ers team. Factor in, you're more than likely going to get the Packers without Jordan Love in a couple of weeks. So who knows? Maybe things are looking up a little bit for the Minnesota Vikings. But again, we have to caution, a lot of weird stuff happens in week one. A lot of teams won yesterday that are probably going to be really bad teams by the end of the year. I'm not saying the Vikings are going to be one of those, but you kind of got to get a few weeks into the season before you really know what you have.
I don't know. I want a pick six from Andrew Van Ginkel every single week. That's
that
what
beautiful
I want.
hair. That beautiful hair.
It's good. We love it.
I don't know if I can call it beautiful, but yeah, go ahead.
I like it. It's like mine, kind of, right? A nice
a good
blonde
flow.
mane. Mm-hmm.
No, yours looks more put together. His just looks like
This is true.
his is just like yeah. I'm not gonna get into it, but like I don't care what people do with their hair. I just
Little mangy, Myles. Feel a
little
little mangy
bit,
to you?
a little bit, you know, like at least keep it up a little bit, like, you know, I like do something with it so it's not just like, I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. My hair goes up.
When you're
my
on
hair
the
goes
field,
up. My hair
it's
doesn't go down. So
It's not about looks out there. It's about how you perform, Myles.
that's fact. Well, look good, play good. That is a thing. That is a thing.
I mean, that is true.
And
That's the pregame, though, right?
I mean,
Pregame
pregame. Pregame. Well, into the game, like you want to, like, you know, you see guys wearing sleeves. The new thing nowadays, which I found weird, because I was always a mouth guard person. I always had to wear my mouth guard. Guys just keep their mouth guards dangling and they don't actually wear it. That one throws me a little bit. But
there's a hockey player, Matthew Tkachuk. I don't know if you guys know him, but for my hockey people out there, my one hockey reference that'll only happen once, he's constantly chewing on it. Like his mouth guard is never actually in his mouth doing its job. He just sits and chews on it throughout the entire game, but he like can't not do it. So it's just his thing.
I don't know why this made me think, or what you just said made me think of this, but the who's all in the commercial? Barry Sanders, Dan Marino, and maybe Randy Moss. Did you guys see the commercial about those guys coming out of their retirement and playing?
Yeah, so good.
Hysterical with Marino wearing his cheaters. I mean, I think that commercial's incredible. And by the way, the Case Keenum backup one with Progressive.
Yes, that was so good. I saw that yesterday. I laughed so hard.
Good for Case cashing some checks and leaning into that.
Right?
I know he wants to start. He's made that clear before, but you know what? You might as well lean into it a little bit.
Lean into it.
Yeah. I like it. I like it.
Have some fun. Let's have some fun with maybe some comments from YouTube, eh?
Comments from YouTube.
All right, we haven't done this in a little bit, so I line up 2 or 3 comments. Generally, some are game related, some are a little bit more fun related. We pull them from YouTube. So when you take shots at us or you have an informed thought, you never really know if it's going to wind up on next week's edition of Before I Die. Here's one from Rob K. He says, with the tough schedule, I'm thinking the Vikings will finish 8-9 or 9-8. Mind you, this comment came last week. Even 9-8 won't get them into the playoffs this season. It could, but it might not. But it will be good for them to finish with as many wins as possible to convince free agents that this is a team on the rise. My question for you, I really like that back half of the comment, but I'm not going to look forward yet. We still have 16 games left, so I'm not going to talk about free agents next year because we don't even know who they're going to be. I am going to ask you guys, and we kind of touched on this. You feeling a little bit different about your win projections after a 1-0 start for your Minnesota Vikings? Jessi, why don't you go first? And then Myles, you can offer your rebuttal.
Yes, I am, only because I said maybe 5 wins, right? I think I said 5 or so. Like, I was not very high
Negative
on
Nancy.
them. I'm just being a realistic person at this point. I could see 8 wins and I would be okay. I mean, I could see that happening now. Again, it's week 1. I am trying to temper my emotions and my elation about that victory and how good things looked for them because it's week 1 against the New York Giants. Like, it's just not enough for a defining thing. But I am going to raise myself up a little bit. I'm going to go with 8 wins. That's what I'm going to say. So that is my updated projection. Myles, what do you think?
I can't. I said last week, it's just like as like a hot take that they're going to make the playoffs. I'm not. That was more of like a hot take. My true thought was like 9 wins, 8 to 9 wins was really my is my area, and I would stand by that. And I just think there's too much talent on this team, and I think there's too good of coaching on this team for them to just fall completely flat. And I think the one thing that they need to prove, even if they don't make the playoffs, is they have to prove, to your point, Ross, and to the commenter's point, is they're kind of a team they should be a team on the rise. They should be a team that shows that they're good enough this year to build off of, to be a true, whether it's a contender or at least like really strong playoff type team next year. And so with JJ McCarthy at the helm. So I wouldn't change it, but I do believe that they should at least show out to be like a strong competitor this year, even if they're not going to be a playoff team.
Well, and for your preseason prediction, Myles, a good start because at least you won 28-6. You won comfortably. You feel good about it. It's not like you won 9-6 and you were just the better of 2 bad teams, right? So yes. I think there's something to be said for that.
Like the Falcons-Steelers game.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, let's not. We'll leave Kirk Cousins talk to other people.
So like Phil and Judd. We'll let those guys.
Phil and Judd. Yeah, we'll let the flagship handle it. I know they touched on it yesterday on Vent Line as well. Thank you, Rob K1, for that comment. Norton Brandon, 61-76 wins last week's comments. Really excited you guys added Alex. I mean Myles to the show. Missed the crew in the offseason. My question for Alex/Myles/Kyle and also Jessi. If you had different names, what would they be? You can choose your own name. What would it be?
I get to choose my own name?
Yeah.
Oof.
And it can't be your current name.
I was going to say my name's awesome, obviously.
Right? Same.
I was going to be a Kirby. I think I told you guys that, right? We talked about that before. Oh, yeah. My name was almost Kirby because I was born the day the Twins clinched the pennant in 87. So
that's fair.
Kirby Puckett. That would be kind of a fun, and I'm like, that'd be cool. Although my generation, because of the time I grew up, I feel like you're thinking of the Jigglypuff Kirby from like Mario.
No,
even more. I was
thinking
Minnesota,
Kirby Puckett.
You were thinking, you went Puckett immediately. Okay.
If you were Kirby by the time you were like 9-10 years old, it definitely would have been that. People would have been calling you Kirby for that reason.
Right.
For sure.
Exactly. But I think I could do that. I'd like a name like that, an ambidextrous name, like Charlie. I always thought was kind of cute, like a boy-girl name. Jessi's kind of a boy-girl name.
Jessi is too, isn't it?
But yeah, my dad loves to say, he's like, well, I named you after the song Jessi's Girl. I'm like, that's about a man. It is not about a girl. But it's his favorite thing. So
I think names can predetermine what you become to a degree. If your name was Kirby, and you may have been this way anyways, but if your name was Kirby, I get the sense you would have just been kicking some major ass in like junior high. Like any girl would have looked at you wrong. You would have knocked her down.
Probably.
Or guy for that matter.
I'd be weird. I just feel like I'd be weird. I feel like somebody with the name Kirby would be kind of weird. Like weirder than I already am. Sorry if there are Kirbys out there. I don't know.
Apologies.
Dirt. Yes, exactly. It's kind of cute though. It's kitschy. It's different.
Myles, what are you going with?
I don't even want to say what my other name. So I'm a twin. I have a twin sister, and so if there was my mom had two names for me, and it was Myles, and I am so glad she chose my name. By the way, before I say this, it was Myles or Clayton, and no offense to Claytons out there, but I don't like the name. That doesn't fit. I don't think that fits me at all.
Would have been Clay? Would we have gone like, "Hey, what's up, Clay"?
It probably would have had to been that, right? But like,
yeah,
I'm just very glad that my name is not Clay or Clayton. Like, thank goodness.
I don't know if you know this, but Clayton Kershaw, big fan of Purple Daily. So you're about to be in major trouble.
There goes our partnership with him. So my son's name is Isaiah. I always liked that name. So maybe like my dad's name. So my dad and my brother. My dad's Billy Gorham Sr. My brother's Billy Gorham Jr. I would have loved. I didn't understand it at the time as a kid. I wanted to be Billy Gorham III. Yeah. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way.
But that's what I wanted. I was like super jealous. I was like, oh, why can't that be me? So like maybe Billy, just because like that's like. But like I always liked. If we had a second boy, I wanted to name him Trey. That was another name I liked. So I don't know, maybe like Trey, Trey, Isaiah, Billy. Give me one of those names. I'm probably good with it.
I can see us all calling you Billy G. I can see that. Yeah, Billy G.
Yeah.
You'd be enough.
And I'm telling people my middle name here. My middle name's Warren. So Warren G is something that I definitely get.
Yes.
Yes. That's a thing too. So yeah.
You don't see what I see.
I like it.
It's Warren G. I was a rapper in a past life, just so we
Yes,
know.
I believe that. I believe that.
Mm-hmm. Becky was my other girl's name, and I'm glad I didn't. I don't think I could pull off Becky or Rebecca.
I can see Becky, but you're blonde, so that's kind of generalizing blondes. But like,
I'm not sure what to take about that.
I was just gonna. My generalization was gonna be that Becky's come across as Valley Girl like.
Yeah, it is. It's like Steffi, or there's so many Stephanies when I was growing up. Like it's very Becky, Stephanie, Sarah, Christy. Crazy. What about you, Roscoe?
Oh, I don't know. I know at one point my parents went back and forth on names and they just kept canceling names out. So again, just like Myles. At one point I was going to be named Chad. My dad didn't like the name Chad, so he came up with something different just to cancel out Chad. And his retort back to my mother was Wendell. So I would have been Wendell Brendel, which I actually think kind of fits when you look at me.
I so wish that was the case.
Yes, that would be so great.
I was also known for a while throughout high school when I let that story slip. Everybody just called me Wendell. So, yeah. I mean,
that's what's going to happen.
I don't know. Jack is a name that I think a lot of people have, but I do like the name Jack. So I guess I could go with Jack.
Would you keep Jack or would you go John? Because aren't some Johns or Jacks Johns? Or is it the other way around? I think that's a thing.
I don't know.
Did I just make that up in my head?
I do know. Made that up.
I do know, unbeknownst to the future Mrs. Brendel, our first boy will be named Brennan, and he will be a leadoff hitter in Major League Baseball.
Brennan second base?
Yeah,
that's second base. Second base.
Shortstop.
Yep. Yeah.
Brennan's a middle infielder.
The medieval equivalent of John was Jan, which became Jankin, then Jackin, and finally Jack. Oh, so wait.
Where are you getting this from?
Google. Why was Jack a nickname for John in the? It was a nickname. Like,
sure, we can trust JFK, everything on Google.
Jack, like they called him Jack. It's a thing. It's a thing. I need some Johns or Jacks out there and I think there was a kid in my high school that his name's actually John, but we called him Jack.
So 2 things. I want everybody to comment with their alternate name because I think we're going to get some great responses. I think we actually will. I don't think you can trust everything you read on the internet, Jessi. But one
JFK was called Jack by his family because it was a nickname.
You're ruining my segue, but I think that's only fair.
Isn't there a Jackie Kennedy though? We're going. Okay, yeah. So he would have been called Jack. We're going.
Remember when this was a football show? It was great. We'll circle it back to that. You might not be able to always trust what's on the internet. But you can trust that at 1500ESPN.com, you can hear St. Thomas football on Saturdays. St. Thomas football back this season on AM 1500, 1500 ESPN, and 1500 ESPN.com in the Twin Cities. Another border battle this weekend for the Tommies. They'll take on Black Hill State at O'Shaughnessy Stadium. Pregame at 12:30, kickoff at 1 on 1500 ESPN and 1500ESPN.com. I don't know if you guys were monitoring on Saturday. We'll go with a bit of a moral victory for the Tommies after a rough week 1 against Sioux Falls. They bounced back and almost beat a very good Northern Iowa team. So good for the Tommies. You can hear them this Saturday, AM 1500, 1500 ESPN, 1500ESPN.com. Should we do some Before I Dies? Jessi, you want to do that?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll hit the button too.
Time now for the Before I Die crew to give us their Before I Dies.
All right. I kicked it off last week. Roscoe, why don't you kick us off this week?
Okay, I'll go quick and I'll make this one quick. I may have even brought this up recently. I know there's a thing called inflation, and I'm not trying to make this a political statement at all. I don't care. I don't care which party you support. I care that you vote. That's my political statement. Okay. However, $12 American dollars and 81 cents for a domestic can of beer at Huntington Bank Stadium to watch the Gophers pound Rhode Island into the ground. $12.81 for a Miller Lite? Are you kidding me? Let's just cap the price. $10. You're making money, and I don't feel like I'm being screwed. I mean, I kind of do still at $10. Excuse me.
Is it the tall cans or the small
the
ones?
16 ouncer, but still $12.81 for a
I'm not
Miller
excusing
Lite.
it. Just making sure I understand it. Yeah.
Do you want to know what we're charging for like a Castle Danger cream ale?
15.
I think what chaps me more is that they tack on some of the cents.
Yeah, that's weird. Like $12.81 is just obnoxious.
It is.
Like,
Yeah.
I know they're probably cashless anyway, right?
They are.
Yeah.
$15.03
for a Castle Danger cream ale.
And that's to cover, and I guarantee you some of that is just to cover the fees that they have for card transactions, right? Like,
oh yeah, that too.
I say the same thing when I go to Target Field. The Polad family used to cover the tax of everything, and they would just factor it into the price, and they would tell you your beer's $13.
Yeah.
Now nobody's covering the tax, and we have all these ridiculous fees. So I guess let's cap the prices, and let's also just get rid of the stupid cents. Instead of $15.03 for a cream ale, it should be $15. If you're already going to gouge me to high heavens at $12.81, just make it $13.
But here's the thing. We're all going to get it, right? You're going to get the beer because you're at the game. You're going to do it. You're
So before I die, we will pass legislation to have a cap on beer prices. Let's get this done, Congress and President, guy or gal.
Myles, what you got?
I love that. I agree with that, by the way. I'm going to the Vikings game week 3, and I'm already not looking forward to how much I'm going to spend on food and drink.
Have you been setting aside cash for weeks?
Yeah, just setting
do.
aside, right? Like my wife's probably going to give me an allowance. Like, you can only spend that. So whatever you get, that's all you got. And all right.
Get your good buzz on in the tailgate parking lot. Right?
I know, right?
That's what you got to do. Just plan ahead.
Yep, exactly. My Before I Die is more of so this is new, but my son's in kindergarten now. He's rode the bus three times now. And it's been late at least 20 minutes every time. Before I die, I just love for his bus to be on time. And by Friday, the next time he takes it, my hope is it's all smoothed out and the bus is on time. But I can't hold my breath. But my son's been technically late to school every day since he started. So just before just that
truancy building up.
Right? I'm about to get a call from school like, why is your kid late? I wish I knew. So, yeah, it's nothing crazy, but I just. And I know there's a lot of new routes. I know it's a new like we have a new routes in our neighborhood and stuff like that. And I'm very forgiving to bus drivers, but I just would like a little bit of on time.
Well, just Wendell Brendel would have been a bus driver, I think.
I could see that. I could see that.
Wendell would have been, sit down, kids.
Sit down.
Right. No yelling on the bus. Classic. I like that. I support that. Mine, and this is going to be weird, and I've wanted this for a really long time, which is also weird and bizarre. I understand that. I obviously never played football. I played powder puff. I was captain and champion my senior year. Thank you very much. But
what'd you play? Did you play quarterback?
No, I was running back. That's what I did.
Nice. There you go, Aaron Jones.
So that's what I want. My
runner.
I'm a sprinter. I can just bust on through. Yeah, it's great, and I don't mind contact. That being said, I want to be tackled. I want to get full gear and I want to be tackled by a real tackle. Like I want to play. I don't know why, because I recognize that's probably incredibly dangerous for somebody who doesn't know how to take a hit like myself. But there's just something about it. Like the more football I watch, the more I'm like in the Iowa State game, there was a very big exaggerated push. A Cyclone player was like, oh, and I was like, oh, I could take that hit way better than that. And I want to try it so bad. I need to feel that. I've gone out there, I've put the hockey pads on before, I've taken a check, not a real one, but a half one. And I was like, okay, like you just feel like you're part of something. So I want to be tackled. And that sounds weird when I put it that way, but you know what I mean.
Please tell me you two watched season 1 of American Vandal on Netflix.
No.
Oh,
I don't even know what that is.
One of the greatest mockumentaries of all time. And I can't really talk about the premise without having to label this podcast not clean. There's an episode where I think it's the class president tries out for the football team and she's just going to be the place kicker, but they put her through all the drills and she just gets lit up by a defensive end.
Yeah. Like that's what I want to do.
During here, Jessi.
I know. I'm feeling like I have this inside of me where I'm like,
don't jump at me for saying women can't play sports. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you self-admitted.
Yeah.
This sounds like it would be bad.
It would be bad. But I always have a sense of guilt when I'm criticizing professional athletes when I can't do any of the things that they do, right? So I'm like, if I at least make the attempt, like I've put in valiant effort to learn how to play hockey and to like be good on skate and like do little things and recognize how difficult of a sport that is. Football is the same way. If I'm going to be out here criticizing the Vikings, I need to talk the talk, walk the walk. So if anybody has pads that I could put on, there is the Vixen. I've really every season I consider trying out for them because I'm like, that could be really fun. Again, I don't think I could do it. I'm athletically inclined somewhat, but I don't know. It's just something on my bucket list. Before I die, I am going to be tackled.
As someone who's been tackled lots of times in his life, good for you, I guess. But I can't even name how many concussions I've probably had.
Yeah.
And one time, is my senior year in college. I've mentioned this. I've only played Division II school level football, so it's not like I'm playing against NFL players, or in the NFL or anything like that. Division I players, but big fast guys. I caught a pass and I got hit. This was against Sioux Falls, actually. I got hit so hard, and I was wearing a mouth guard. I bit through my tongue in 3 different places.
Oh my God.
And I couldn't eat we got like Chipotle or something after the game, and I couldn't eat it. And so all I could do was I ate ice cream because it hurt so bad. And it healed pretty quickly, but I literally bit through 3 different places in my tongue. And I was like, yeah, this sucks.
Oh, God. Maybe I'll start with a high school or
there you go. Okay.
We'll start low and then work our way up to the professional. I don't know.
Every football game I've literally ever watched, at some point in the game, inevitably I think to myself, wow, this is a violent game.
Yeah, it is.
And you have to be a certain kind of crazy to put yourself through that, don't you, Myles?
You do. And I played offense and in special teams, so I did have to tackle, but I wasn't you play offense because I don't want to go tackle people as much. I wasn't, I'd rather.
I have a defensive set mind. I want to stop the ball. I'm not really looking to score. I'm looking to stop you. And I think I just want to hit something. I think I've got this pent up energy.
There you go.
Guys. I just want to hit something.
Yeah. I will say I preferred to get hit rather than hitting. That was probably more, but it hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a little crazy. That's all right. We all know this. So if anybody has any suggestions on how I go about making this wish come true, let me know.
We just got to get you a tryout for the Vixen. I think that's what we got to do. We just got to get you on a tryout.
I think we should. I think
play,
it's open tryouts. I think
even if you don't end up playing, just do it just to go get that, that contact for feeling. You.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think this could actually fairly easily be arranged. So I may marinate on how to make this happen.
I think it's content, baby. That's what we're here for as well. I am just crazy enough to make the content. So we love it. Hopefully we'll see some good tackles by our boy Van Ginkel this week. As Minnesota Vikings prepare for the San Francisco 49ers. As always, thanks to all of you for checking us out. Thanks to Quick Trip. And go check out all the other shows on Purple Daily and Score North, including hockey, Twins, Timberwolves, a little bit of everything. We appreciate you guys. Drop your comments below. We'll see you next week. Skol Vikings.
First home game in Hennepin this weekend.